episode number 81, BasketVAWLS edition. We're brought to you by the Outright Geekery on the Outright Geekery Podcast Network at outrightgeekery.com. Also, we are currently live right now, because you're watching it, on YouTube, courtesy of the S&B Network. Make sure to go ahead and smash that like button, share out the link, and let's talk some BasketVAWLS, and I'm sure there'll be some football thrown in. My name's Vols JP.
And I'm Dobber. What's happening?
What's going on? So we've had, since the last time we had a basketball show, we played 2 games since then. We had the game last Saturday against the LSU Tigers at home. And then last night, Tuesday night, Tennessee went on the road and got the first SEC win of the season against the Conzo Martin Missouri Tigers to even their SEC conference play early in the season to 1-1. So, Dobber, some opening thoughts on what's going on with the basketball team. Kind of a surprise as far as players with Vescovi coming in. And so what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, that a lot. This team got a shot in the arm with the arrival of Santiago Vescovi from Uruguay. The kid arrived, and 7 days later was playing in his first college basketball game, a conference game nonetheless, and drops 18 points on his debut.
Led the team in rebounds.
Yeah, lots of positives, lots of things to look forward to. But man, the turnovers. That's what this team is going to have to eliminate to be successful. You'll have to bear with me. I'm dealing with some allergies tonight, I believe. Anyway, yeah, Vescovi came in, and I think is really going to help this team down the stretch. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. Barnes talked about after the LSU game that he felt Vescovi got a little tired at some points, and you know he said that was on him. He should have given him a little bit more rest and pulled him a little bit. Yeah. But another thing that kind of plays into the turnovers is, and he said he kind of alluded to this a little more after the Missouri game on the other night, that he's got to learn the American style of basketball versus the international rules that he has grown up playing. Some of the travels and things that are not called in European basketball are called over here, I guess, until you get to the NBA and you can do whatever. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I noticed in Barnes' presser after the LSU game, he talked about very, very similar to what I said all year about the Tennessee football team. He said that they have potential to be a good team, but they have a slim margin for error.
Correct.
And
yes.
He said that you're not going to win many games when you give up 19 to 20 points off turnovers. And that's something this team has done this stretch of games dating back to, I think, the Memphis game. Their turnovers have just been
really, honestly, though, even, I mean, the entire season
right.
has been turnover. I mean, even when they started out the season, 5 or 6-0, 7-0. I mean, they were still having the turnover struggles. Of course, that was with Turner in and all of his issues and everything like that. But I think that you definitely have to be impressed with what Santiago Vescovi did. Brandy and I actually went to that game Saturday against LSU, and Tennessee came out strong. I mean, they were hitting shots, and they was up there one time by 10. I think it was 20-10 or 21-11. but you could just see it. I mean, there's lapses in each game that a team just automatically just seems to run off 6 or 7 points against Tennessee quickly, and the lack of size that Tennessee's got, it's absolutely killing them on the boards. You could just see LSU just pushing them around down low and just getting rebounds after rebounds after rebounds. And of course, like you said, I think Vescovi ended up with, what did he have, 8 or 10 turnovers, I think, that first game?
It was high, and Barnes joked after the Missouri game that he's probably leading the nation in turnovers. After 2 games.
Yeah. But probably Tennessee doesn't even win Tuesday night against Missouri without Santiago Vescovi. I mean, I know that he was kind of scoreless there until probably about 6 or 7 minutes to go, and I think that he scored like 8 other points.
Yeah,
straight 8 straight points and pushed that lead out there. If I'm not mistaken, that they were actually down.
It was tied. It was 53-53, and he ran off 3 possessions, 2 threes, and then a layup off that tipped pass or whatever, a run out layup.
Yeah,
and pushed the lead to 61-53. I actually have that in my notes right here.
Yeah, but I think that he's got some ball handling skills. I think that he's one of those that can drive to the basket and then end up finding the open man and passing it off and stuff like that. Tennessee is just, like you said, Dobber, there's just a slim margin for error. And in order for this basketball team, in my opinion, to have any kind of shot at making the NCAA tournament now, obviously turnovers are going to have to be cut down. And at some point in time, Jordan Bowden is going to have to get consistent. Yeah. And maybe that will never happen, but Jordan Bowden is going to have to start averaging 15 to 16 points a game, in my opinion, in order for this basketball team to have any kind of shot at even making the tournament now. With the lack of size, to me, it's going to be very, very difficult. And if you look at the upcoming schedule, there is some winnable games in league play. Saturday, they play at home against South Carolina. Then they got back-to-back road games against Georgia and Vanderbilt, and then they come back against Ole Miss. If Tennessee could find a way to win, 3 of those 4 or something like that, then that kind of gives you. But the back end of Tennessee's schedule is pretty darn loaded. I mean, you look at the last 5 games, you got Auburn, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, and Auburn. So, it's going to be tough sledding when the end of the season comes. I guess that we can hope for potentially that by that time that Vescovi has gotten better. He's cut down on his turnovers. And maybe some of these other freshmen have stepped it up some.
Well, and that's you look at the Missouri game, and I've got a key point written down about that game. Jalen Johnson stepped up, and he scored 11 points. Actually, in a tight game, first half, the whole game was kind of back and forth against Missouri, but he hit, I think, 3 threes in the first half.
Yeah.
That let the Vols extend the lead and take a lead into the half. But it's just one of those things. And Barnes has talked about it the last couple of nights that he needs some more quality minutes out of Devontae Gaines and Jalen Johnson because they're trying to figure out the situation with Bowden as well. They're looking at trying to cut his minutes so he can have more effective minutes instead of being on the floor the whole time. Which hopefully the Missouri game got him out of his slump. He's not been shooting the ball well. He dropped 13 and led Tennessee in scoring against Missouri. But I mean, looking at the numbers, the last two games, LSU they had 14 turnovers, and against Missouri they had 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
21 is. It really is amazing that they did win that game Tuesday. With 21 turnovers, I mean, that's going to be hard to do against anybody, really, for sure. So obviously, they can't continue to have those turnovers, and like we've said, this team is going to have to protect the basketball better. And in my opinion, Jordan Bowden is going to have to become a consistent scorer. And if they do that, then to me, that they still have an outside shot at making the NCAA tournament. If not, can this team? What are we right now? We're 9-5.
Yes, I believe so.
To me, at that point in time, it's going to be a struggle to probably get to 15 to 16 wins.
Right, and that's what I said after the news broke about Turner. I backed off of my 19 to 20 wins and said, more realistic 15. I think there is a lot of hope in Vescovi coming. I've seen some flashes and glimpses. There, I think in both of those games, in the LSU game and the Missouri game, he had plays where he drove in and made beautiful dump offs. One was kind of around a defender, and the other was back over his shoulder to Fulke for a dunk. Just beautiful guard play. But it's going to take a little bit of time for him to transition to college and to the American style of play. And face it, I mean, he is starting the year in the middle of the season at the beginning of conference play.
Yeah, and I mean, just think. I mean, when he played against LSU, I think that he'd had like 3 practices. I mean, I was shocked. I was sitting down there last Saturday in Thompson Bowling, and they, about 15 minutes or 20 minutes before the game, I noticed that they had the starting lineups,
and he was
out,
up there,
and 25, and I'm like, what in the world? So I pulled my phone up to see if I could see anything, and there's people on VaultQuest and everything going Vescovi starting. And I'm like, holy smokes! I'm like, either this kid is like the real deal, or we're really, really desperate. I mean, with that. So, but I mean, the kid has a sweet shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be. I mean, he's got a sweet shot, and I mean, he. I think he had his first free throws there against Missouri Tuesday, and I mean, every single one of them just absolutely just stripped the net. So obviously, the kid can shoot. I think that it's just like you said, it's just going to be just getting used to the style of basketball and probably the length of the players over here and the speed of it. But I'm certainly excited for him, and think next year that with all the other incoming talent that Barnes has coming in, I mean, I think that Vol Nation really has to be excited. I know that this is kind of a downer year basketball wise, considering how the basketball team did the last couple of years, but it certainly is a transition year, and I don't think that this basketball team is going to be down for long, though.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I said going into the preseason. Losing what we lost, and it's hard to replace those guys. Joe Martin talking about Schofield with the Wizards. I mean, he and Grant are both playing well. Just continuing where they left off last year. I think Bone has. Did he not get called back up as well?
I know that he was at one time, but honestly, I'm not a huge NBA follower.
I'm not
So,
either. I've kind of been watching these guys,
yeah,
their stat lines go across. I did see the other night after the Celtics and Wizards played. Saw a picture of Grant and Admiral trading jerseys.
yeah,
I thought that was
yeah,
super cool.
yeah.
You know, I it's just that, like you said, this team lacks a true inside presence, which is going to be a struggle going through the grind of the SEC. Um, and the big thing, when we're not shooting the ball well, we are going to struggle.
Oh, yeah.
And then you add in a game of 14 to 20 turnovers, and you're not shooting well, you're going to struggle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, I mean, not to beat a dead horse in the ground, but there's such a small margin for error. This basketball team is going to have to shoot well and take care of the basketball extremely well in order for them to have any kind of shot against any kind of quality opponent. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to get hot. I mean, the bad part about last Saturday against LSU was Tennessee shot 50% from 3-point land. They made 13 threes. I think they were 13 to 26, 50%, and they still lost by 14 points at home. I mean, that tells you right there that that there's problems elsewhere, and there's deficiencies with this basketball team. So, Barnes is just going to have to find a way to get these kids to grow up. So, who we got in the live chat? I know it's a slow night. We got Joe Martin in here, El Nino saying "Go Vols," and it looks like Jon Baxter just come in. Who do y'all see as the starters game one next season? Is that basketball? I guess John's probably asking. Oh Lord, it's
Man, with those with those
with,
three coming in, that's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Springer is supposed to be an absolute stud, and then you got
Walker and
Walker, and then you got what is his name? I can't even think.
Yeah,
That's bad of me.
I've got it written down somewhere here.
Jaden Springer, Corey Walker Jr., and the other kid.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're bad. We can't even think.
You're lucky I'm not asleep right now.
I know it.
I told JP I took a couple of Benadryl to try to deal with this.
Help us out there on the live chat. It is totally left my brain who the other signee was. Jaden Springer. Jaden Springer, and then we've got
Keon Johnson.
And Keon Johnson, yes.
Yeah, Jon Baxter hit it right at the same time I did.
Yeah, Keon Johnson. Yeah, thank you, Jon Baxter. It totally left my mind.
It's going to be interesting. I
mean, you would imagine that all three of those, or at least I would imagine Keon Johnson and Springer starting. I would imagine all three of those, or both of those starting. Now, the Corey Walker Jr., he might be. I mean, it just depends. I think probably how Devontae Gaines and come on there. And, of course, next year they'll have Uros Plazovic or whatever his name is too. So,
yeah.
With those guys. So, totally different basketball team, in another 10 months. And that's why I think, that this fan base obviously just needs to just realize, yes, it sucks that, there's probably not going to be a March Madness run this year, but that's just the way that it is. And, but I certainly think that there's brighter days ahead for this basketball program.
Oh, absolutely. And the way Barnes coaches, one thing that's been consistent is he's talked about that they need to play better defense.
Yeah.
And they need to not let their woes on offense affect them on offense. They need to sort of that mentality of, the snap mentality or whatever that they talk about. You miss a shot, you let it go instead of going down on the other end and your head not being in it.
Yep.
And Barnes is a good coach, and I look for him to get the most out of this team. But like we've seen in these games against the longer athletic teams, Memphis, Cincinnati, LSU, it's tough when you're limited to settling for jump shots instead of pounding the ball inside, and then when you're not hitting those jump shots. One thing that kind of bugs me when they are settling for these jump shots, it almost looks like my daughter's Pee-wee team.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's rebounding.
Yeah.
They're not following their shots, and there's, maybe one person in there boxing somebody out. And that's not typical for a Barnes coach team. That I wish everybody had the motor that Fulke has, and just, the way he dives around and goes after every ball. Man, I bet the dude spends hours in the ice bath after a game.
He probably does. He probably does. We got a couple other folks that looks like they've joined us. We got VAWLS fan Tom. Appreciate you joining. We got David Mowell. David's asking if we feel like that this team is a tournament team, and we kind of hit on it there just earlier, David. I mean, I don't see it happening. I mean, I think that we're at 9 wins right now. I think unless this basketball team just finds something, and again, I'm repeating myself, unless Jordan Bowden just catches fire and he's consistently scoring in the upper teens, and this team cuts down on turnovers, I'm not sure that this basketball team makes it to 15 or 16 wins, and obviously that's not going to be enough to put them in the tournament. I mean, we're at 9 wins right now. We've got 14 games basically left. Tournament. I mean, 14 conference games left. We got 14 conference games left, and they got the game against Kansas. That's probably not going to be pretty. So with that, and I'm not sure if they have any more out of conference games or not, to be honest with you. But 14, 15 games, at least 15 games left. I mean, this basketball team would have to go 11-4 to reach 20 wins. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I just don't see that happening.
Not with the back end of that schedule. Like you talked about. What, Auburn twice, Kentucky once, Florida,
and Arkansas, who I saw was like 12-1. I don't know what kind of competition that they played in the non-conference part of their schedule, but they're 12-1. Auburn's undefeated and 5th in the country, I think. So with that, so no, I mean, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. And while I got David up there, I want to give a shout out. David and his brother and some buddies have a podcast as well. It's called Knocking Heads. I don't think that they're on YouTube or anything, but they invited me on there the other night to talk about some Tennessee football and stuff like that. So they got a really good podcast going. And if y'all want to listen to some Tennessee football, they talk about NFL, all sorts of stuff. But give those guys a listen. It's called Knocking Heads, and they have a really good podcast going. So just wanted to throw that shout out there for those fellas as well with that. So, Dobber, you want to maybe just was there anything basketball related?
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've kind of given us a good little segue there to some football.
Yeah.
Wow, man! What a couple of days.
Shoo, man! I tell you what, it almost feels like, and I'm kind of hesitant to say it. But it almost feels like maybe that dark cloud that has been over Knoxville and this football program since 2008 is maybe slowly lifting up. Maybe slowly. I mean, you've got to be excited about the last couple of days and the news that has came in regarding that football program?
I tell you what, if things fall into place, the offensive line that they could start day one.
Should be nasty.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it should be absolute nasty. I mean, when you talk about, I mean, there's 4 5-stars.
4 or 5 stars.
And then you got a 6-year
senior
that is playing center, which is one of the probably the most important position outside of maybe left tackle on the offensive line if you got a right-handed quarterback. But I mean, to have him back for a full year, and then the news of Cade Mays, the Knoxville Sun, Cade Mays coming home. So of course, all of that's got to be worked out as far as him getting immediate eligibility through the NCAA. But if that happens, and then the news today of Big Trey Smith foregoing the NFL and coming back for his senior year, I mean, this is going to be a potential to go along with those two true sophomores next year now with Wright and Morris. I mean, you've got to be excited about the potential of this offensive line and what they can do. We just got to find somebody to underneath center that can carry this football team on a consistent basis.
I don't know, maybe not. Your running backs are going to have holes. Whoever's back there is hopefully going to have plenty of time to throw the ball. Yeah, I mean, it's just exciting. I'm potentially going to try to drop a video going into the Cade Mays situation a little bit. If you guys haven't seen, Boogie threw out a quick video today on Trey Smith and some of his thoughts about Trey and about his decision. Just if you didn't watch the press conference, you need to do that too. It was a little bit emotional. I actually was sitting in my office at work and I had it on, and when he said he was coming back, I was like, yeah, and nobody was in there. But it was cool. Really cool moment. Really cool guy. Somebody that has truly put his health and his life at risk stepping onto the football field to play for the University of Tennessee. And from everything I've read about the guy, I gave him high five in the Vol Walk in the Mississippi State game, and the dude's hands are massive. He's just a big dude.
Oh yeah.
But everything I've read about him is he's a great kid. He's a great leader. You hate to see somebody with that much talent have their
have the health issues
career possibly stripped away via a health condition. And I hope that he is able to show some NFL teams that the regimen that he's on with taking his meds to regulate the blood clot issue, and then the limited contact and all that, he can sustain a full year this coming season and really max out and show his talent, because he came in as such an elite player. I mean, the ceiling for him to be thought to possibly come out early, even with all of this, I still saw, second round grades for him. And that's one thing he said. He sent his tape off and was evaluated, and they said that there were some things he needed to work on and needed to clear up. And I think the big thing is, they need another year of tape and another year to make sure what he's doing can be sustained, and that there is no.
Yeah. 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 We got a couple other folks that have joined in. We got Scenic. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, Scenic, if it's not. We got Troy Lee Nugent. What's up, Troy? Troy's a regular on here all the time. Scenic's got a comment, says your O-line can be number one in the country, but if you have JG behind them, nothing is going to happen. And I get what you're saying. And certainly that to me is the absolute biggest question mark going in to the 2020 season, and how successful that this football team can be is, can we get JG or one of these other quarterbacks, whether it be Bailey or Maurer, whoever, can we get one of these quarterbacks to have consistent play week in and week out? They don't have to be Heisman Trophy winners, but we just need them to be consistent, competent quarterbacks that can lead this football team consistently to where we can score more points than what this offense consistently did in 2019. I mean, this offense continued to struggle and shut down and have to kick field goals or end up with turnovers. I mean, we've hashed that out over and over and over. But to me, that is the single biggest thing. Yes, I know we've got some people on defense that we're going to have to replace, and certainly we're going to have to replace Jennings and Callaway. But to me, if Garantano, if he could possibly take that next step, I mean, I'm not giving up on him completely, but time's running out for him. And it's a crowded quarterback room down there going into spring, unless somebody transfers between here soon. So there's going to be 4 or 5 of them that have a legit opportunity to win that quarterback job. And that's going to be the biggest storyline that I'm going to be watching for sure. So
yeah, and another thing to keep in mind, there's some potential coaching shakeups.
Oh yeah.
And that could play into the quarterback situation, the quarterback room as well. I think I mentioned it there a couple weeks ago that with Johnson leaving, one of the things I saw thrown out there, and granted, it's just something I read. It's an opinion. They could move Winky back to running backs and let Chaney take over quarterbacks, which frees up Pruitt to bring in somebody else for wherever else.
Yeah. I've just got a feeling that we're going to make a change on the defensive side of the ball as far as coaching goes.
Right.
I just have a feeling that somebody's leaving, if not one, possibly two. I think Pruitt wants some more recruiters. I think that's what he is after. And I'm not for sure like that he feels like that he has enough on his staff to do that. I think overall, as far as coaching goes, I think that they're all pretty good coaches, especially on the defensive side. But I'm not sold on a couple of them's recruiting.
Yeah. Man, I've a buddy at work was talking about he had seen something about Alabama maybe taking a run at Ansley.
Yeah, and that rumor's been floating out there. The insiders are saying that they haven't heard, that they haven't found any kind of legs to that or anything like that. So I'm there. Troy Lee's asking, why doesn't Boogie join you all on this show? I see he makes comments from time to time. Just wondering. Well,
he's not a basketball guy.
Yeah, he's not a basketball guy. And Boogie does 2 other podcasts?
Yeah.
He's got a wrestling podcast and then a comic book podcast. So he kind of just takes this one off. He did. I don't know if everybody was on when Dobber mentioned it, but he did put out a quick video today about Trey Smith coming back. And I don't know if he hit on Cade Mays. Honestly, I literally just got home and walked upstairs to start recording this. So I hadn't even had a chance to even watch it yet. But go out there and check out Boogie's video. on the S&B network. It's uploaded on YouTube right now, and he talks about Trey Smith and Cade Mays and the importance of that. Troy Lee's also asking about Leach to Mississippi State. I heard
Crazy.
that one. Yeah. The old Pirate is heading to Stark Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that just
good luck is all I can say, Mike Leach. Good luck.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough road to hoe.
I believe it will. Man, I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll get some good press conferences. We'll be a little bit closer to his antics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he will definitely liven up the
media days.
Media days, yeah, there in July when that rolls around and stuff like that. But I tell you what, I mean, this time last year, I mean, I'll admit, I mean, I really had no excitement about Tennessee football. I mean, I'll just admit it because I didn't feel like that. You know, I mean, I said it in the preseason. You know, the goal is to win 6 ball games, and it's like, you know, when I'm sitting here as a Tennessee fan all my life, and I'm just hoping for 6 wins, I'm like, man, I mean, how far has it fallen that I'm hoping for 6 wins? But with what we've got coming back, and knowing what's happened the last couple of days, and who's staying, and then who we brought in, I mean, I've got some serious excitement going on, and I am so looking forward to spring practice. I'm so looking forward to see how that goes. So interested in seeing how this quarterback situation plays out, and all of these new guys that are coming in. Whether or not that Cade Mays gets clearance, you know, a lot of things to be excited about for Tennessee football in 2020.
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, here we are. The national championship game has not even been played yet, and we're chomping at the bit for spring practice and all that. It's exciting. Man,
we got Brett Weaver. He's saying, "What's up, guys? Love the show. We appreciate it, Brett Weaver." And fired up over this news. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I am pumped. I wish the season could start tomorrow. I'd say Pruitt probably does too. Probably. I don't know. Those coaches are probably like, man, we need a break give us a couple of weeks in.
They're not right. They've still got. I did see. You had. Let me see if I can pull that up. I think I sent it to you and Boogie today. Man, I was all over.
We got Sanic saying that Princeton Fant and Ramel Keaton looked really good versus Indiana. Yeah, I agree, especially Keaton. You know, I mean, I think that's obviously, you know, we've got to replace Jennings and Callaway and that production out there on the outside. So certainly was excited to see Keaton have a good game there.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think that's a good confidence booster. Has to be for him going into the spring practice.
So here's what I saw tweeted out last night. That was another little nugget of excitement. Tyler Barron, Harrison Bailey, Henry T, and Crouch were all at Knox Catholic to watch Jay Hardy play basketball for Macaulay.
Yeah.
So I think we're putting the full court press on him, and where he delayed his signing, man, there's still a chance.
Well, I mean, I read an article where I think Austin Price did an interview with him, I guess maybe before that game last night or whatever, and honestly, it sounds like that it all came down to relationship with the defensive line coach. So, you know, I mean, if I'm Tracy Rocker, I'm probably like, oh no, you know, I mean, he might be one of those that's on the outside looking in, and you know, maybe he's ready to give it up. I don't know, but you know, that was kind of disappointing in that, to read Hardy's comments, and basically say that he didn't feel like that he had, much of a relationship with his position coach if he went to Tennessee versus the relationship that he has with the position coach at Auburn, which Rodney Garner is one of the best recruiters. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he was really good at Tennessee the short time he was there, and he's been good everywhere that he's went. I mean, he's just an exceptional recruiter. So with that, but yeah, I mean, hopefully Hardy will that we can flip him. I think that it's huge that Pruitt still has his in-home visit with him. He ended up saving that. So Auburn has already used theirs. Malzahn has. So Malzahn can't go back in home. So I think all of the chips are stacking up in Tennessee's favor. But if Hardy has that good of a relationship with his position coach, is that even going to be enough to sway that one? I mean, I guess we'll find out probably I guess less than a month now. I guess.
Yep.
That we'll say. We got Sanic asking another question. Who do we think is going to start over or the safety position is going to be hard since Nigel was a good senior player and a leader, and certainly we joked about Warrior the first three or four games of the season because he was still struggling and stuff, but certainly he came on and was a huge contributor for the turnaround that Tennessee had. I guess if you look at it just right off the top of my head, I mean, does Trayvon Flowers, can that kid finally stay healthy? I mean, he had that just that freak. What did he do? Break his leg on that interception return against Mississippi State, I believe it was. So can he come back? Let's see. You got what is it? McCullough back there, 22. I mean, he played a lot.
He played a lot in different packages this year and looked well. And I think he was one of the ones that that they were talking about potentially at safety going into the season. So
yeah. So I think probably odds on that one of those two, and then can Keyshawn Lawrence come in, and is can he pick up the defense fast enough that that he can put his name in the running for that spot. So it's at least I feel like that we've got, and that's where that I'm kind of seeing more and more encouragement and thinking, have we really turned the corner as far as the roster here?
Right.
Because I mean, just think about the offensive line. I mean, 12 months ago, I mean, the offensive line was a huge question mark.
Patchwork, guys playing out of position.
Yes. I mean, just an absolute huge question mark. And obviously it was hurting this football team. We had a bunch of Butch Jones recruits that were 270 pounds trying to play offensive line in the SEC. Well, anybody with a lick of football brains, which he doesn't have, knew that wasn't going to work. So, but with the guys that Pruitt has been able to bring in these first three recruiting classes, and now some of these transfers, like we talked about, I mean, this offensive line has the potential to be one of the best in the nation next year. Now they're going to have to go out and prove it, obviously, but that's they're going to have to. And Jon Baxter says he's never seen the outlook of a program change so drastically in only four months. And yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, just think back to the 1st of October and Tennessee sitting there at 1-4 and still has Bama to play, still has Mississippi State, still has South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri. And you're sitting there thinking, how in the world does this football team even win three games this year? And what's that going to do to recruiting? And, should Pruitt be fired? And should we just move on and start all over? To now, 4 months later, we're sitting here going, golly, I'm excited about this football program. It's amazing.
It just shows the job that Pruitt had when he took over. And it wasn't necessarily just the people; it was the culture. And we've talked about it before. I've gone on and on and on about it. It was that mentality of losing, that beat down, just way of thinking that had engulfed Tennessee football, and that is starting to change. And that's you really saw that come in the second half of the season, and how they approached every game. Because listen, like you said, 1-4. This team could have folded. This team could have packed it in, and just where would we be now? We wouldn't be talking about Harrison Bailey. We wouldn't be talking about still a chance with Jay Hardy. We wouldn't be talking about Cade Mays coming here. He'd go to Alabama or somewhere else.
Somewhere else, yeah, for sure.
Followed Pittman to Arkansas.
Yeah.
But it's the way these and we talked about that players only meeting after the Florida game, and you had a couple guys leave, and those guys that couldn't hack it and didn't want to be a part of it. The guys that are there right now, I think, are 100% bought in. They are willing to put in the work, and they're willing to go through the grind. And I mean, you saw just the not just that effort and intensity crank up. It was the mentality. It was anytime we step on the field, we're going to beat the person across from us. Hillbilly sportsman right there. It's a snowball effect. And I think you had these guys. You had these guys feeding off of each other. The offense was struggled at times. The defense stepped up. You look at that Kentucky game. What did it come down to? It wasn't the fact that Maurer started the game and then JG came in and played okay. He managed the game, got the offense back in it, but it came down to defense. It came down to that stop at the goal line, and it's just exciting. And I think the staff and just their approach and philosophy, it fits. It fits into the SEC, whereas Butch and his ideas and mentality, and like you said, recruiting. He did a lot of recruiting to stars instead of people that would fit the system.
Yeah, definitely.
And Pruitt's not doing that. You look at the guys that are coming in, man, they're grown men coming into college.
Mm-hmm.
The size and the speed matches SEC level guys, and man, it's just yeah. Like I said, we're sitting here on a random Thursday night in the middle of January, with the national championship game to be played this coming Monday, and we're ready for spring practice.
Oh yeah, for sure we are, no doubt. I want to give out or give a shout out there to Scenic. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that screen name, but either way, he made that post right here. I'm going to put it back up there. And it says, if Tennessee gets to at least 10 wins this upcoming season, it will make my senior year of high school 10 times easier. LOL. And why I think that that's so important is I see so many of these young kids.
Yep.
And I mean, you can't fault them for it because their entire life, Tennessee football has been a laughingstock, basically.
It's exactly what I said. It's that beat down mentality and the culture of losing that has been just
and it's so easy to become a front runner jump on the Alabamas and the Clemsons and the LSUs and all of those teams that have won a national championship recently. It's so easy to jump on those. So, Scenic, I'm not sure where that you're from. If you are from the great state of Tennessee or wherever that you're from, I certainly appreciate you being a young volunteer, buddy. We appreciate that for sure. For sure. We got UT Tanner. What's up, UT Tanner? I heard that UT Tanner showed up at the Model City Tap House and hung out with Boogie and Dobber for the Tax Slayer Bowl. So appreciate you, UT Tanner. And he is saying that Put On More Steam needs to be a Talkin VAWLS shirt. That's an idea there, UT Tanner.
Yep. And I think I shared with UT Tanner at the Tap House. We got some things in the works. So some things rolling. We're going to break out some stuff this year, man. So just make sure you like and subscribe, get the notifications when we come up, and just stay in touch. Like us on Facebook.
And be sure to share out, show all of your Tennessee friends. I don't care if they're not Tennessee fans. Just share out our links and tell them about the Talkin VAWLS crew, and let's try to grow this podcast even more. We got Wayne. What's up, Wayne? Wayne Shelton. Wayne Shelton was down there at the Tax Slayer Bowl. He sent me a picture yesterday. He got his Talkin VAWLS t-shirt. He was looking mighty svelte in that svelte or whatever that word is. He sent me a picture of it. So
got mine on.
So we always appreciate your support there, Mr. Wayne Shelton, for the Talkin VAWLS podcast. And C-Nick. So it's C-Nick. So I appreciate you telling me how that you pronounce that, C-Nick. We hope to see you in the live chat for future shows. Well, we got Hillbilly Sportsman. Yeah. We talked about that, Hillbilly. The quarterback battle, in my opinion, that's going to be the most important thing. And that's what, in my opinion, is going to – it's either going to keep us from getting over the hump next year or it's going to get us over the hump. I think that there's other things in place that this football team should be able to compete and win at, but they're going to have to get more consistent play from the quarterback position.
You had the question with Scenic there, and he says he's from here's another one for you there, JP. He says he's from, is it Maryville?
Merville.
Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah. So we appreciate it. Yeah. We appreciate you, Wayne. I know that you're a big time supporter of Talkin VAWLS, and we certainly appreciate it and appreciate the shirts and everything like that. We certainly do. And UT Tanner says he'll share it to his Bama loving uncle. Oh, UT Tanner, you need to talk some sense into that uncle. You need to talk some sense into him.
We got old Wayne asking about Vescovi. Yeah, and I guess we probably need to round this back into basketball.
It's so hard, though.
It is. I mean, well, and with the news that we've had, just the last 2 days, it's hard not to get a little bit talking football. And here we got VAWLS fan Tom asking, will we beat Oklahoma next year? I mean, it's. Yeah, you ask us right now. Yeah, we're running the table next year.
We're going 15-0, boys.
Now it's definitely got a lot more interesting, especially with the news the last couple of days.
I would love to go to that game next year. I would love
to.
That would be a sweet road trip right there. That would be a fun game to go to. And could you imagine being in Norman, Oklahoma, and Jeremy Pruitt get that win, and that football team get that win? Oh, that just gives me chills just thinking about it. Oh man, golly! That gets me fired up right there. Oh, that gets me fired up.
I was trying to steer this ship back to the right direction.
Oh,
Had Wayne asking if we've talked about Vescovi.
yeah.
We talked about him. I said a total shot in the arm for this basketball team. The way he was able to, after 7 days of being with the team, to make his first start in a conference game, and just the potential that we see out of him going forward, I think is only going to help the team. That's a huge midseason pickup. It's going to be tough. We said for this team realistically to make the NCAA tournament. I could see them making the NIT tournament, unless they just go off and, like you said, Bowden really becomes plays to his potential. The rest of the season,
and James too.
Yeah.
I don't even think that we even mentioned James, but
I mean, you look at the Missouri game from the other night, and you had 6 guys in double figures. So and that was a nice distribution of scoring, but it's Bowden with 13, Vescovi with 11, and then Pons, James, Fulkerson, and Jalen Johnson all with 11. So you see, you didn't really have one guy take over the game, and see that's what we had last year. If you weren't getting your 16 to 18 points from Williams and Admiral, if they were struggling, Bone would step up and drop 20. But it's this kind of, you don't really have that offensive threat. You've got guys that can score, and any given night could go off, but they're not going to consistently bring that, or that they've not shown that they could consistently bring that night in and night out for this team.
Yeah. I got to ask Wayne, did ETSU win last night? I saw that they were playing, and I saw that they were down at halftime. I think I never did even see the score, so I was just curious, Wayne. If I know that Wayne's a big ETSU basketball follower, and
I don't know. I was in the arena of the ETSU Buccaneers last night watching the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. My kids had a absolute blast. Really good show they put on.
Yeah. They always put on an excellent show. My nephew was up there. He always likes to go and watch them. So with that, but yeah, it's Hillbilly. You are right. Barnes is going to earn that salary this year, and he's put a lot of pressure on himself with that salary that he got. That I do feel like that this is certainly a transition year, and if you wasn't listening or on earlier, I said that even though that I feel like this is going to be a step back year for the Vols basketball program, I think that certainly next year with the talent that he's got coming in, that it's going to be short lived as far as of it being down. This team is just void of talent and really experienced talent and size. So with that,
and that's I think it was Jon Baxter earlier talking about having that presence in the paint.
I mean,
it's
which is not anybody.
That's one thing that this team lacks, and I touched on earlier. Our offense last year was a flex offense designed to go inside out and get to the foul line. And man, what did we shoot the other day? Was it like 6 foul shots against LSU? And it was like 8 minutes left before we shot our first one, I believe.
And
I mean, it's just we're not driving and dribble penetrating. We're
just not a physical basketball team.
We're more of a finesse
style.
Throw it around the perimeter. Work for an open shot, or kind of drive and settle for that mid-range jumper. And like I said, if we are shooting poorly, you look at my notes here. LSU game, we shot 40%, which is marginal. Shot 54% versus Missouri, and that's the tell of the games right there. We didn't shoot it well against LSU, and it ended up losing. Shot it better against Missouri, but we had more turnovers against Missouri, and that's the thing right now. This team has to clean up the turnovers. Has to clean up the mistakes.
Has any shot at all at winning some of these conference games? They have got to. I mean, that's just. And I mean, Barnes knows it. I mean, he says it every single post game. I mean, he knows that the turnovers has been a huge problem for his basketball team.
I think after the second game of the season against UNC Asheville, they had I think it was up in the teens turnovers, and Barnes just went on and on and on about the turnovers. He said that's not going to be good, and I think it was something he saw and knew that was going to be a problem for this team, and that's why he continues to focus on it and kind of drive it home to these guys that they need to take care of the ball. And because early in the season it was lazy and telegraphed passes. I think we've kind of gotten rid of that. It's just
I mean, these
ball handling and
I mean, these last two games, the turnovers that Vescovi's had, but I mean, it's really hard to fault that kid at this point. Now, if he's still doing that in late February and the SEC tournament, I mean, you might say, oh, this kid, has got a ways to go, but right now, I don't think that you can really fault him for the turnovers that he's had, and I don't think that will continue. I don't think so.
Well, and that's you talked about being at the LSU game and seeing 25 go up on the pregame as a starter. That's one thing that Barnes said about Vescovi after like 2 days of him being there. He shot the ball well. He passed the ball well. And basically, after talking with the other coaches, that they knew that he needed to be in the starting lineup, which is crazy considering that prior to Turner announcing he would not be playing anymore, Vescovi they intended on, I guess, redshirting him and him not playing at all this year. It's how things quickly can change.
And, I know it. I know. We gotta wrap this episode up. We're already up to an hour and 3 minutes. Scenic, right quick, saying that he's going to the game Saturday. That's awesome, Scenic. I've got tickets to the game Saturday, so I'll be down there as well. As far as what to expect, you'll probably be frustrated because that's just the way that this basketball season is. I mean, it's just they can put together a few minutes of really competent looking basketball, and then they can go long stretches of looking like me out there trying to play basketball. So it can be frustrating, but it's always a good environment in Thompson Bowling Arena. I would expect that there'll be a pretty good crowd show up Saturday as well. It was a pretty decent crowd. I think over 19,000 for LSU. I don't know if there'll be that many there, probably still 17,000, 18,000. So it'll be a good crowd, and they do a really good job of keeping the crowd into it and stuff like that. So it's really, really fun. So with that,
I'm waiting for somebody to bring a Uruguayan flag or start some soccer chants or something.
Something like that. Yeah. With that,
I've noticed Barnes is he's calling him Santy.
Yeah, Santy. Yeah. So, and right quick, I'm gonna get UT Tanner. He said honestly, he is done DUN with basketball right now. He's wanting the 2020 football season to be here. I hear you, buddy. I do. I hear you. I am ready for it as well. Yeah, I wish that it started tonight. So with that, for sure. I don't know about that UT Tanner. I know quite a few people that go to a lot of games. So with that, but I do enjoy being in Knoxville cheering on the Vols, whether it's football or basketball. I always have a good time. I've said for the longest time though that I'm bad luck because the last 10 years I've witnessed a lot more L's than I have W's for sure. So with that, but that's going to change because, like Jeremy Pruitt said, this new decade is going to belong to the Vols. VOLS, isn't that right?
Yep.
On that. So, but anyway, anything else, Dauber? You got? You ready to
I
wrap this thing up?
I'm good. I'm
All
good,
right.
man.
Well, we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We appreciate all of the support. Be sure to go on to YouTube and like this. Leave us some comments. We are going to continue with the basketball weekly show. We are going to start doing some position roundups, videos leading up to spring practice. So be on the lookout for those and everything. And who knows, maybe we can talk old Boogie into doing a live podcast one night or something to sit down and chat about the upcoming spring practice and the spring and stuff. So, but we certainly appreciate the support. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week, and let's hope that the Tennessee basketball team takes down the South Carolina Gamecocks on Saturday and improves to 2-1 for UT Dobber. I'm Vols JP. We'll see you all next time. Y'all have a good night.